Kerry, thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode of the Not a Scooby podcast. Let's just dive straight into things with my very first question, which is how should creatives providing a service get their messaging right to reach the correct audience?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be joining you. Um, I think there's a really simple solution here, and I think it's sometimes overlooked. You need to understand what your audience pain points are rather than selling something that you think they need. So if we were going to use you as an example, and you're talking about videography within recruitment, you might have an idea of what I want to hear, but really, I'm only going to listen if you're talking to me about my pain points. If you understand what it is, how your service is going to better my business, then I'm going to listen. So I think it is just about, and you know what, it's an easy mistake to make because I think with creatives, sometimes you've got better ideas than the person that you're trying to sell to. So it's easy to get carried away and say, this is what I'm doing, this is what you should do. But if that's not resonating with your customer, then they're not going to listen.
Mm-hmm. And I think something that creatives often struggle with and is often quite a difficult question to answer is when people are like, okay, well, what's the return on investment? Because it is hard to pinpoint that as a creative, as in this video has resulted in X amount of sales. That's quite a difficult thing to track.
Yeah. Do you know what? Like when you're starting out, it's probably quite a difficult thing to track, but there will be areas like you'll have even one client just now that you could reach out to and say, out of interest, could you give me a rough idea? What was the percentage growth or what was the percentage that you got back of this? And you will be able to quantify it in some way. If you can't talk about ROI, because sometimes it's not possible, lean on similar industry sectors. So if you are pitching to a recruitment agency and you've worked with another recruitment agency and this is the benefits that they've seen, then that's going to get my attention. And then from there, I can probably understand the ROI. So if you can actually talk like facts and figures, which is always going to be the best, of course, then lean on your experience and your like referrals, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. And I think that's something I actually need to do more of is, well, build it into my system of complete a project and then ask for a testimonial. But also, I don't think people should be afraid of if they haven't say worked with a client in a couple months. There's nothing wrong with reaching out and just saying, hey, can I actually get a testimonial now? I basically forgot to ask earlier, but the process
Yeah.
was
100%. And, you know, we talk about this internally. Our recruitment process is, well, it can be about 6 months really from somebody first reaching out to you to a person being like 3 months into a role. You could be talking about 6 months. So at what point do you ask somebody for a testimonial? I do feel, no, I don't think it's cringe, but there's part of me that initially thinks, oh, it's a bit cringe to say, can you write something nice about me? But everybody is looking for sales in some way. I reached out to somebody last week and I put a blog out and it was talking about a specific type of hire. That person started in January, we're end of April, and I reached out to them and said, would you mind if I use this testimonial as part of a case study? And they said, of course. They're a tech company. They also they also look for clients and use testimonials as business development. So you'll probably find when you're reaching out to people that they need those things as well. Like testimonials and referrals is such a huge part of sales and marketing. Like people are glad to do it.
Mm-hmm. And then diving more into the messaging and presenting yourself online, something that we discussed off camera was pricing. Again, another hugely polarizing subject within creativity.
Yep.
But should we be showing our prices publicly or privately from your perspective?
Publicly. How much is it going to cost? I need to know. So for me personally, like in a recruitment agency, we work to percentages of salaries. And I will always, before I'm going to meet a client, I will say, this is going to cost you somewhere between X and Y, just to break it down. You're talking about this number to that number. Like I want to know, I don't want to waste your time, Mr. Client. I also don't want to waste mine. There's going to be a cost to this. So I think for me, I always want to be super transparent before getting into any conversations, like we're all busy. For me, like if I was looking for a videographer, that's not something that is necessarily something that I definitely need. Like that's a nice to have. That's not something that I really need. Like I need an accountant, I need a CRM. I don't need video. It's something that I want. So I need to know how much is this going to cost before I'm going to enter into this conversation. I a couple of weeks ago I purchased a new tech tool, which is definitely a nice to have, something that I really wanted, but it wasn't something that we were planning to spend money on. I went onto their website and it was just find a demo here, speak to this person here. And I added somebody on LinkedIn and I just sent them a very direct message. I was like, look, I appreciate you want to get me in a demo, but I want to know how much this is going to cost before I waste your time or mine. Excuse me. Can you give me a rough expectation? That person came back with quite a wide window, to be honest. Like it might be this, it might be that, but I was like, perfect. Based on that, let's move forward into a demo. So I think it's so important. Just be transparent about your costs. Like this is not a free service, and I would personally be more likely to reach out to somebody if I had an idea if I can afford it or not.
Mm-hmm. And on the caveat there, I think, which is really important, is it acceptable to have a range? Because with creativity, if you say, how much is a video going to cost me? I'm sure similar to recruitment, it's like, well, how long is a piece of string?
Yes.
So it's about giving, well, this is kind of our starting range, but if you're wanting something really cinematic with visual effects and drone shots and everything, that's obviously going to be a very different price to, say, your standard talking head interview. So is that acceptable to have that range?
Yeah, 100%. And I think I would always caveat that as well. Like there may be add-ons, like we're looking between X and Y. Until I have a real clear idea of what you're looking for, I can't give you an exact, like definitive number. It's likely to change, but it's going to be somewhere in that range. Yeah, I think that's very fair. My other half is a joiner, so I tell this to him all the time. I'm like, he'll say to people, well, how long is a piece of string? I don't know yet. I'm like, tell them something. Is it going to be £1,000? Is it going to be £10,000? Is it going to be 50? Like they just want to know roughly how much is this going to cost, and that's going to save you time as well. So no, 100%. I think the range thing is really important. And also that's kind of where your creative license comes in, right? If I say to you, right, Jack, I have X to spend, you're like, okay, I can do this for that. And then we get into it and I'm like, okay, maybe I could add this on, maybe I could add this on. Like it makes the service better, you get a better end product, like I'm gonna be happier, you get a bit more cash. So of course, I think like upselling 100%.
Mm-hmm. Because I think that's every creative's fear about putting an exact like pound amount on their service, is because it varies so much project to project. But I think that's the perfect solution, is giving that range.
Yeah.
So people aren't coming to you expecting it either to be 200 quid, and they're also not expecting it to be 15 grand.
Yeah.
Like you've said, this is our sort of market space in there.
Yeah.
So I think that is super helpful.
And that's probably quite a good way to do it, actually. Oh, sorry. That's probably quite a good way to do it. You could say, do you know what? I've pulled together very basic video content for £400 for a client before. It's not all singing and dancing. It didn't go viral, but it did a job. I also spent a lot of time with somebody who really wanted to invest, and they spent £12,000. I would say the average is maybe somewhere in the middle. We're maybe talking between 5 and 6 for this type of project. But just to give you an idea, it could be less, it could be more, and we can be super flexible to your needs. Like I think clients like that, and they're more likely to say, okay, do you know what, this is my budget, and then you can work to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then I think the other fear that creatives have is, well, what if I share my prices and then someone who had a far bigger budget in mind comes along and says, oh, well, you put on your website that this video would get done for 750. We were actually thinking of spending closer to 3-4 grand, but we'll take you up on your 750 offer. Again, though, I think you highlighting that range is really, really helpful, because you still leave the door open for a big fish to walk in the door and say, oh, we've got the mega budget that we really want you to use.
And you could have like gold, silver, and bronze, or I don't know, you could come up with something much more creative, I'm sure, but you could have like, this package offers you X, Y, and Z, and it costs this. This package offers you X, Y, and Z, and it costs this package, and so on. So everyone can find something in there, whether I'm like a self-employed recruiter starting out on my own with zero, or whether I'm a multinational, I'm looking for you to really like completely like reframe our website, that's in there as well. So you've got something there that everyone can see, but they can go, okay, I want that one, please. And at least you've got a point of reference there, don't you?
Hmm.
I always
Yeah, and
try as
I've read
well
in.
and start and ask clients, so what are your expectations? Like, how much are you planning to pay? And if they say something like outrageous, you're just, "Do you know what, maybe I'm not the best solution for you. There's cheaper solutions out there. Do you know what, if you're looking for that, maybe there's a bigger agency that can do that." Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with knowing your value as well. Like, you'll have an idea yourself. Like, I know my average fees, lowest, highest, what most clients look for. So I've got an idea where to pitch it. That's not to say that I might not try and stretch it, sometimes go a bit further down, but you've got a rough idea. So I think as long as people know that, and don't be afraid to like walk away from stuff. I think if someone says, I'm looking for this at this price, do you know what, that's not me, but best of luck.
Yeah, and I think conversations around money can often get quite confrontational or sensitive. But it's like, hey, everyone has a budget.
Yeah,
Everyone has their limitations, and that's okay. And it's like, yeah, sure, maybe someone just starting out will really value this opportunity and will be amazed that even getting £100 for this, they're like, this is amazing. What a start.
totally.
For someone who's been doing this, 5 years or so, that's not really my ballpark. I'm kind of further afield. So yeah, I think having those
Yeah.
conversations, being transparent.
And I think almost circling back to a couple of your points, like understanding the pain points and also the ROI. I'm a big promoter of video in my business. Like we use it a lot. There's lots of people out there that will just not see the value. If somebody doesn't see the value, they're not going to put all that much money towards it. So they might want to start small. So we're going to start with this basic package. It's going to be pretty cheap. You're going to see some good results, and then you're going to start seeing the value, and then you're going to understand what this can do for your business. So I guess maybe starting small and being really transparent about pricing. Like, you do get what you pay for. So sometimes someone might be like, oh, I'm not sure about this. Start small, and then before you know it, it happens with my clients all the time. They want to add stuff on. They then want to do things a different way. They want to add in different features because they see the benefit. So sometimes actually being really transparent, that might help clients understand their own pain points and also understand the return on investment that they're getting.
Mhm. And talking about the upselling, the additional services, particularly for video or anyone in marketing, say for example, but specifically creating content for marketing purposes, photographers and things like that.
Mhm.
So let's say I do video. Is it worth me also offering a service towards the end of the process? Say it's paid ads and things like that. Oh, I actually know my way around this. Obviously, if I do, like getting that knowledge and understanding, because the amount of times I've delivered a video and nothing's happened, and I'm like, I'll email them a month later, being like, "Hey, have you done anything with that content? Because I haven't seen it anywhere." They're like, "Oh no, we'll get around to it." But it's like, you just dropped 2 grand on this video, and I've seen maybe it once,
Yes.
and I haven't seen all the little short edits. So
Yeah.
do you think that's something people should also be offering, say as videographers?
Yeah, so I really contradict myself here and I go back and forward. So first of all, I would say if I looked at the agency landscape on the whole, everyone's trying to do everything and nobody stands out. Like I look at agencies and I'm like, okay, so you do video and digital and social and affiliate. Like, what do you specialize in? And so I think being a specialist is really important. But also, if you can like authentically add value to your clients, then why would you not do it? So, say for example, you're working with 920, you put out some video content, and I'm like, do you know what? It was quite good. We got some stuff in socials, but did it really change our like bottom line? Did we win clients off it? Like, what impact did it have? If you were then to turn around to me and say, yeah, do you know what, Kerry, you're right. And when I was looking at what you were putting out, I was wondering what the response might be and what the uptake might be. If you were to put X amount behind that in paid ads, you'd probably find that's going to be times by 4. Why don't we start small and like see where that goes and see like a really authentic upsell? I would understand like, oh, I would never have thought of coming to you for paid ads, but it makes total sense that you understand that. I don't need to go to a paid ad specialist. So yes, 100%. I think you need to upsell and like diversify what you do. I just think there's a real danger of saying yes to everything and trying to be known for everything. And then it's like, right, wait, what is it that you're actually trying to do here?
Yeah, I think the key thing there is just being transparent and being authentic. Don't try and sell something that you don't actually know what you're doing. I know a lot of people are like, learn on the job, like get the job and then figure it out.
Yeah.
But someone's coming to me for a video, I can make a pretty strong case for why I can also do your photos, and I could probably make a pretty strong case about why I can then go on to do paid ads specifically for those videos because it's all in the same ecosystem. If you come to me for a video and then I say, "Oh, I also thought you could do with a new website," you're
Yeah.
like, are you just trying to pick my pockets here, basically? It
Yeah.
can be a way that might be interpreted,
Yeah.
potentially.
I guess there's a fine line for me, like in recruitment, people, and we'll talk a lot about employer brand and supporting, like we support HR teams. I'm not a HR professional in any which way. I'm a marketing recruiter. I can't find you an accountant. I could only find you people in marketing. So I think it's about knowing like what you can do, what you can maybe do, where you can add a bit of value, but also knowing when to walk away as well. And I think there's a lot of power in that, actually.
hmm Yeah, I've come across a lot about this idea of you should probably be saying no to more things than you say yes to, because the things you then say yes to are stuff you really, really care about and you really believe in, and you really feel like, oh yeah, I can move the needle here. I'm
Yeah.
not just saying yes to everyone. So yeah, I think that is very useful. So let's go into that actually. You mentioned with you as a recruiter, you specifically recruit within marketing. So when people are finding niches, how should they find a particular niche that it has growth potential and things? And then how should they really present themselves specifically for that niche? For example, if it is within, let's say, restaurants, having a bunch of highlight videos of you when you filmed the Hearts versus Celtic game probably isn't very useful to
No.
them at all.
Yeah, so I think how do you find your niche? You probably go with what you enjoy, like, and then you focus on that. It's like anything, isn't it? It's like when you're in school or uni, like there's things that you're good at that you quite enjoy, and that's sort of what you lean towards. So I think trying things and doing, and as we're talking about niching, your niche might be being a generalist. Like that is a niche, I suppose, in Scotland, isn't it? Right? Like generalist marketing managers. But I
Mm.
think as you're looking for something really specific, look at the things that you really enjoy. And then that's also how you then find yourself in that business because you're going to be passionate about it and you're going to talk about it. So you are like your niche is recruitment and but like video within recruitment, so you're going to surround yourself with people in that space, you're going to listen, you're going to take things on, and then you're going to talk about it. You're going to become an expert by making that your network. If you were then to jump into football, for example, I'd be thinking, oh, I don't really know what Jack does anymore. So I think it's important that you have that network, you have that community that you're seen in. And you're seen to be a thought leader by doing things like this. Like if you're talking about video recruitment, I mean, you could probably go out a little bit. You could be talking B2B professional services. Like you don't need to be like exactly in your lane. But then people know you for that. If all of a sudden I was to start advertising for, I don't know, technology roles or finance roles on LinkedIn, people would be thinking like, oh, what is it she actually does? Like it's just confusing the message, isn't it?
hmm So is it about first finding that niche, sort of dominating that niche, or
Yeah.
so, or feeling like, yeah, I've established my foot in this role first, and then okay, how can I grow? And similarly to the upselling, how can it still remain within a logical ecosystem
Yeah.
that makes sense?
So, like, let's go back to your example of video and paid ads. Like, how many people say they specialize in those two things? They don't necessarily go hand in hand. But if you have a couple of video clients and they trust you, they know what you're talking, you know what you're talking about, and they are willing to give something a go. They're like, okay, this has worked. We've got a relationship here. We trust Jack. If you're then going to say, do you know what? Let me run some paid ads for you. Let's start small, but I think it could really add value. The chances are they're going to say yes. The chances are it's going to work. And then you build it up from there. You then use that case study to then deliver that message across the network. Like that's definitely the best way to do it. Video is still your main thing, but actually, as a bit of a sideline here, paid ads could, I don't know, times by 10 what you're doing with your organic content. And then that's, I suppose, how you can really authentically, I suppose, is probably the key word there, grow your offering.
Mm-hmm. And for me, with regards to finding my niche within recruitment, it kind of happened accidentally. It kind of fell on my lap. The opportunity to work with my first more corporate client was Clyde Monroe Dental Group.
Mm-hmm.
And that just came about as a variety of someone who worked in their marketing, shout out Nora, who
I
is
placed
actually
her.
moved on to a new position. But Nora Garcia.
Yeah, I placed her at Clyde Monroe. Small world.
Oh, really? So me and Nora lived together in uni.
Ah, okay. I feel like I'm going to ask
So
you more
we're
about
like,
this once we're done, but you can tell I was asking for her.
yeah. Yeah, we knew each other from uni, really like legit best friends. Then she went into that position. Oh, you guys need video. I know a video guy, and then got brought in. And then I remember I was saying this to a lot of the team. I was like, why don't do more businesses do this? Like what you guys are doing? Like this seems like an obvious. Like why doesn't everyone do a recruitment video when they've got a new job offering? So then I was really just enjoying it. And I was like, oh yeah, this seems like something scalable and valuable and something that I can see growing over the next, say, 10 years. Is I just think every job opening is going to have a video attached to it. So I was like, oh, nice. But that kind of just fell. I didn't necessarily search for it. It came to me and organically it turned into my niche. So that's certainly another route.
Yeah, I think certainly you find what you enjoy and that's what you want to do. So I guess video being your thing. But when you start thinking about the area that you want to look at, like I guess in marketing, quite often people start with direct to consumer. And that's kind of what they see. Like I'll speak to people and they're like, I want to work in sports. I want to work for a luxury retail brand. I want to work in fashion or something like that. Then they get an internship in a tech company that makes a specialist, like, I don't know, eye solution. And all of a sudden they're in B2B tech. And how did they know that was going to happen? I think you do fall into these things and then you'll build your network around. We actually spoke about this a little bit off camera. Like when you think about dental, what other groups work like that? You need to look at veterinary practices, you need to look at aesthetics companies, what other organizations have franchises. Like you'll just naturally build this network that's similar to the people that you work with. And I also think it's so often that it comes from referral. Like I spoke earlier about almost 100% of my business comes from referral. Your first role, your biggest client, and now your specialism has come from a referral from somebody who went into quite a random job. She didn't want to get into marketing recruitment. She just wanted to kind of try content and then look where that's led. So I think sometimes you do just have to go with that. And the market will dictate where you should be sitting.
Yeah, very good point. So two things there. One, how should people grow their network? Again, off screen, we spoke about potentially starting podcasts.
Yeah. So we met, didn't we, when it was Andrew Dobie who suggested, I was doing an event with Andrew, and Andrew said the best thing you can do if you want to become an expert is start a podcast and learn. And you did it. And I remember thinking like, wow, I love that you've actually gone away and done that. So how do you become an expert? Yes, through people, through those types of events. So that's probably a good example for you. Andrew has a great agency. CIM is a brilliant networking opportunity. So I think getting with the right people and listening to the right people, which is hard because everybody is trying to do these things and everybody has something to say on social media, don't they? So I think it's about making sure that you're like really focusing your attention on being with the right people and listening to the right people for sure, and taking that advice. That's the best way. And then talking about it as well. Like you then need to start like projecting this. So I know on LinkedIn people don't like posting, and I feel like creatives feel like when they're talking about selling their business, they don't want to do that. They want to put their work out there. No, people want to see you. So you need to start talking about these things, and you need to start being the face of your own business. That's your USP, because like, let's face it, there's probably a lot of people that I could phone and get to do a video for me. You making yourself a name within like recruitment video, that's super niche. That's what's good. You're the thing that's going to make you stand out in your business. You're your own USP.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And on two things. One, within the mentorship side of things, like you said, Andrew said, start a podcast. So that was the one piece of advice I took away from that networking event. And I'm a big believer in, if you go around asking people for advice, people you see as mentors, and you just say, give me one thing to do. And then if you actually go and execute on that thing, they're like, oh, this person actually listens to me. They don't just ask me for advice and then not do it. So now I feel quite confident then going back to Andrew, if you're listening, to then say, okay, Andrew, I've done level 1. You know, I've done that thing you told me to do. I've done whatever now. It must be like 23 episodes. What's next? You know, what's my sort of next thing?
Yeah.
So I think that's a really handy way of getting little tidbits and piece of advice from people you look up to.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good point. Like, I think networking, personal brand, all these buzzwords that really do like set you apart from the competition and from everyone else doing what you're doing. You have to put the effort in, like turning up to a networking event and saying, oh, it was lovely to meet you. I mean, that's great, but you're not going to get anything from that. You need to take away like actions, and you need to then make yourself accountable as well. And yeah, you're right. Like, and let's use that as an example. Like, Andrew's spent his time speaking to a room full of people. He's given really thoughtful advice, which has got him to where he wants to be. He would like to think that most people don't, but that some people are going to listen, action that. And for you to go back to him and say, by the way, I've just recorded my 30th episode. I just wanted to say thanks so much. He will really appreciate that. Like, he would love to hear that the advice that he's given is helping people to grow in like his area within that creative space.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And then LinkedIn. I think I'm actually in the camp of, I think LinkedIn gets a massively bad reputation for what it actually is. Yes, it can be quite a difficult competitive landscape where everyone's just showing off, basically. But then there's also a massive category of people that are just trying to have genuine conversations, and genuinely just connect with people. And all you got to do is connect and follow those people. If you don't want to be following all the people that are showing their stats and their case studies, then just don't follow them. Just follow the people trying to have a laugh. There's a massive uptick in people really bringing comedy to LinkedIn, and I follow all those people.
Yep.
I'm like, they're having a really good time just making jokes about SEO and why creating blogs with AI is not going to do your website any good, and they just have fun with it. I'm like, yeah, follow those people. So yeah, people, particularly I think my age group, people stay away from LinkedIn, like terrified of it. I'll stay on my Instagram, I'll stay on TikTok. But if you're trying to connect with business owners, LinkedIn's probably the place to be.
So LinkedIn is a B2B social media platform. Like, that's what it is. If you're looking to grow your network within business and you're not using LinkedIn, then you are absolutely missing a trick. And you know what? Everyone has their opinions. Like, some people don't like the fact that LinkedIn's turning into a social media platform and people post personal stuff. I would far rather see a picture of you on your next holiday than I would, I don't know, like a screenshot of like Canva or Adobe or something like that. Like, I would just so much rather see you than those like really like just general random things. So I think with LinkedIn, you need to figure out what your message is, and also how you want to be seen. So, I mean, I think actually we're speaking about that at that event. Like, think about your pillars, think about who you want to speak about, and don't deviate from those. So have your strategy, and then just go with it. If you want to show your personality and be sociable, and that's what you want to see, follow those people. If you think that that belongs on Instagram, then don't follow those people. But I guess you want to attract people like you. So you need to figure out your own strategy and like what your voice is. And then you need to talk consistently, like 2 or 3 times a week post. Some people say every day. at least once a week, but 2 or 3 times a week post. Converse with people that you want to see your stuff, like comment on things, ask questions. If someone asks a question, don't just scroll by it, like just answer. I think we just need to make LinkedIn a bit more of a like casual forum and everybody be quite comfortable on it. And yeah, you're right. If you see something that you don't like and people have a problem with LinkedIn, just unfollow that person and go follow someone else. It's like Instagram, isn't it? Like I regularly have clean outs. Like it's all about personal development in January. It's all about comedy by the time it comes to Edinburgh Festival. Like just make it work for you.
Mhm. And moving on to, let's say someone selected a niche, but they don't have any relevant work for that niche. What should they do?
Mm-hmm. Um, make it up, do stuff for free, and a combination of both. So I think you can use examples like you would at uni, like where you've got your portfolio and you've got examples of work that you've not been paid for. That's still an example of your work, so there's nothing wrong with showing that. You need to make it relevant to your audience. You need to make sure that it's going to resonate with your audience. And yeah, you can't really go wrong. I guess there's an example that's come into my mind. I watched The Apprentice recently. I think I'm one of the only people that still watches that. And there was a guy who did really well, got to the final, and he had a 3D imaging business. And he had picked huge global brands like Addy was one, Formula One, I can't remember them all, Rolex, like huge brands. So then when they were looking at his work, they're like, you obviously work, this is the space that you work in. And the work that he was doing was so far away from that that it made absolutely no sense. And so he kind of hadn't really thought about, he took the best brands and thought, if I can do something cool with this will catch people's attention. But actually it didn't resonate with his audience. So I think you have to be really careful that you are, whilst you're making it up and doing things for free and taking everything that you can, you have to make sure that when you put that out to your audience, your audience understand why you're sharing it.
Mhm. Definitely. And is there something to be said, if you're going to do spec work, then maybe don't make it the household names to in any way avoid misleading people, because if you have a bit of spec ad, you have spec work and it was for, say, Adidas, but you didn't actually work with Adidas. It was like, oh, this was a passion project. To avoid misleading anyone, maybe use maybe a smaller brand, or just make up your own brand. Just go on Canva and make up a logo and be like, I worked for this, I created this clothing advert, but not to suggest that you actually work directly with Adidas.
Yeah, so I guess like using some examples, you work with Clyde Monroe Dental. They're a Scottish brand. I know that they've got a decent brand. They probably have a similar budget to what I would have to spend. Therefore, if I saw that you're working with Clyde Monroe, I'm probably going to pick up the phone to you. I don't need to know that you're doing the recruitment videos. I just need to know that it's a brand that I trust that's probably along the same lines, although in different industries, as 920. If I see you working with Rolex and Adidas, I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to pay that. So I'm probably not going to reach out to you. You don't want to assume though, because you don't know what's going to resonate with people. I've heard folks say, right, I'm targeting the construction market, so I'm only going to speak about my construction clients. There's a couple of ways that you can fall into traps there. There's loads of good companies that construction companies will be affiliated with that are not in construction, so you want to have a bit of diversity. Also, you might not be working with the best brand. Like you put a brand out there that you don't know because you're just doing their videos, but actually industry wise, they're not known to be the best, then people might not want to be affiliated with that. So it's a risky game with the referral thing. And I think that's why you need a bit of diversity, because you don't know what's going to land with who.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so many industries are very competitive. So, oh, well, I don't want my videos to look like our competitors because then it looks like we're copying them. We want to be different. So, yeah, in some scenarios,
Yeah.
showing off that you've worked with one of their competitors isn't necessarily the best move.
Yeah, exactly. Like, actually, I'm coming to you because I want to do something different that's going to stand out in the market. So why on earth would I want someone who's working with all of my competitors? How am I going to stand out in the market if that's all that you do? So I guess that's going back to your very first question, isn't it? What's somebody's pain points and what are they looking for? And then at that point, you probably want to, if you get the opportunity, of course, you've got to make these decisions and put things on your website. But if you get an opportunity to speak to me, you understand what I'm looking for, you can then go away and say, right, actually, I'm going to use this, this, and this example. None of them are within your sector, but they all have the same pain points as you. And this is how we work through it. So I think with your referrals and the work that you're doing and portfolios and things, you have to try and like be niche, show who you're like, have your target audience in mind. But also, it's okay to have like a bit of deviating and show that you can be creative, especially as a creative, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. So let's say we've got someone, they've nailed their messaging, they've got their packages available, they have their niche that they want to target, they're presenting themselves as a specialist within industry, say video.
Mm-hmm.
They've now got a portfolio of spec work and a few clients and testimonials. Now they're thinking, as I am in this current position, cold outreach. I need to start speaking to people and reaching out. And I know everyone's afraid of this. Like everyone cringes at the idea of doing cold outreach. I think creatives, particularly, we're just really bad at selling ourselves. I think creatives, I mean, not to pat ourselves on the back too much, generally speaking, are pretty humble or at least introverted. They're not the kind of people that are going to go knocking on doors saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
buy from me." So, what advice do you have for having those conversations and making it less daunting?
Yeah. So first of all, I love cold outreach. I love business development. It's like my favorite part of my job, which I hardly ever get to do. But I think cold outreach does not mean that you are picking up the phone or chapping doors and offering something that people don't need. Like cold outreach means you are making a connection. And by the way, the average, I think, people will say it's somewhere between 7 and 12 touch points that somebody has to have with you before they're going to buy from you. So think about all the other stuff that you can do. So for example, LinkedIn, like if you're present on LinkedIn and say someone's seen your content, there's cold outreach, like comment on somebody's post offering them advice or replying to their message, like that could be cold outreach. Networking events, if they're in your space, again, going back to our point with it's what you do with the networking events and it's if it's relevant to you, but use that as an opportunity for cold outreach. Um, phone calls, meetings, that's where you're going. Like you want to have conversations with people to sell to them. But I think people get in their head and think cold outreach is like old school three-piece suit, like briefcase, chapping doors and trying to like take your money. Like that's not what you're doing. You're selling a service that people need. And if you have the market research and you understand your audience, then you should be reaching out to people with something that they want. 9 times out of 10, I'm fortunate because I work with marketing people and they're really nice. If I reached out to somebody today, it's a new marketing director, I don't know them, they've relocated to Scotland. Hi, I just wanted to say hello. I'd absolutely love to connect with you. Straight away came back, oh, thank you so much. Let's catch up in the next couple of weeks. Like it doesn't have to be like I want to sell my services to you right now, but this person will have somehow know me because I work in this specific area and they understand the value. They understand that there's a reason for me reaching out to them. So there's nothing cringy about that at all. And essentially, that's going to potentially pay for my next holiday. Like, I think that's the thing that people get a wee bit like, oh, it's all so inauthentic and it's all for money. Like, that's why we're here, guys. And that's why, like, if somebody's talking to you, they're probably in the same situation. So let's like lean on our people in a nice, authentic way. Like use your network to do cold outreach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really good. And particularly, you're right. You know, again, artists, a lot of people got into the creative sphere out of pure passion. They're like, I don't care if anyone pays me, I would do this for free. But there comes a point where it's like, no, no, no. I don't want to be a starving artist. I don't want to be the type of creative who's like literally having like beans on toast for dinner. No, I want to find the balance. I don't know what you call it when like two circles
Yeah.
overlap. And there's that little bit in the middle where it's like this is my passion and people are willing to pay for it.
Yeah. And I think like I love my job. I've done it for a long time. Like I'm really passionate about it. And I think my clients would know that. they also know I'm going to charge them a huge amount of money for it. And those two things don't have to be separate. Like, I think it's okay to be really passionate and really care about something and also to turn a profit from it. Like, I like nice things. I like going on nice holidays. I enjoy my job. Like, you don't need to be embarrassed about the fact that you're trying to make money. Like, we all need to make money. And I think just like taking that like embarrassed feeling out of it, I don't think there's any problem with that. I spoke to somebody, actually, a marketing person who was talking similar. They're looking to maybe find a new job. They're looking to grow their network. And I was like, well, before, if you don't know what you're looking for, like, just go out and find some sponsors. Like, find some people that you know, that you like, that like you, that would talk nicely about you in a room when you're not there. They'd recommend your services. They might put you in touch with somebody. And they were like, oh, is that not really inauthentic? I'm like, no, like, you're just asking them, like, I'm potentially looking to grow my network. Like, what's inauthentic about that? Just because you want something at the end of it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
Hmm. And with the cold outreach, something else that I've sort of came across is this idea of always asking for permission. So you reach out to someone and say, hi, how are you? Would it be okay if I sent you my portfolio? And then it's their decision of, yeah, sure, like fire it over. Or like you haven't thrown it in their face and said, here's my portfolio, look at it, please give me feedback. It's, would you mind giving me some feedback on my portfolio? Because you're someone that I look up to and I'd really appreciate some feedback.
Okay.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. But what do you think?
I think if you were sending me your portfolio as a recruiter, I think that's a perfectly legitimate question. I think if you're trying to catch people's attention, um, and I don't know the answer to this, but how many people do you think send a message saying, hi, how are you? I hope you're having a great week so far. Isn't the weather lovely? Would you mind if I sent you my portfolio? Like, how many people do you think could send a message exactly like that to the exact same person that you're sending it to?
Yeah, I feel personally attacked because I have maybe sent that message twice today.
So,
I've been like,
what if,
at least the caveat there was I sent it as a voice note because I quite like sending voice notes because it's like, oh, you're breaking the mold by being
yes,
like, I've piqued curiosity because you have to listen to it,
hmm
and then you're also getting my voice and it's clearly addressed to you. It's not a copy and paste job. But
I
I
love the
did
voice
start them
note
with,
thing.
hi, how are you? The weather's great in Glasgow.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I need to change that.
Maybe it depends on the type of person you are. And you get like personality profiles. Like, I think a yellow person would love that. I'm a red person. I want you to get to the point. But again, going back to what is the reason that you're reaching out to that person? What is their pain point? And what are you an expert in? So I would hit them with a stat. So like, hi Kerry, did you know that, I mean, I'm totally making this up, but like 5 times more people are likely to reach out to are likely to respond to a video sent via WhatsApp when you're part of the recruitment. I don't know, I'm making that up. You need to think about it. But a stat, look at something that you've offered one of your clients, come up with a stat and then give them that free information. Rather than like, how are you? Isn't the weather nice? Like, yep, it is. And that's what everyone says. Like, stand
Hmm.
out and cut the how are you.
Cut the how are you? Yeah, I think that's a really good point because whenever I receive cold outreach,
Mhm.
if it starts off with anything but the offer, I'm usually like, I'm just waiting for it. I'm like, what
Yeah.
are you gonna sell? Well, I've had people message me and be like, hi Jack, this is a cold outreach message, just FYI. And
Yeah.
then they go on. Then I'm like, hey, I appreciate you just saying right off the bat, this is cold outreach. I'm
Yeah.
not going to ask you about the weather. Like, here is the offer. If that sounds great,
Yeah.
or if you want to learn more, give me a thumbs up.
It's the same thing about the whole money thing. People being a bit like embarrassed about the fact that they're like using or their passion project is also what makes them a living. Like, I think it's just like taking the embarrassment out of it. But I think if you can give someone free information, I have actually one that's going out after this. So I put up a poll like, how many steps do you think there is to the recruitment process? I've pulled together all of our steps. This is our recruitment process. This is what we do if you want to work with us, and then I'll send that out to people. And people might think, is that not mad? Are they then just going to do it themselves? No, because it's not easy. But that's given somebody something. They're going to be like, oh my God, this is actually really useful. This is adding value to me. Like, thank you for this. Like, if you can give someone a free piece of information and you can add value, then they're probably going to respond. Then you can ask how they are, and then you can find out if there's going to be any business there.
Hmm. Yeah, free value for sure goes such a long way.
Yeah.
So I think to end,
Mhm.
we've spoken a lot. We've spoken about a variety of different things. If someone's for some reason skipped through the entire episode just to this moment to get to the final piece of advice, if there was one takeaway you want people to have from this episode, what would it be?
Oh, I should prepare for this question. I guess I hate saying be authentic, right? Because I feel like that's like everyone's value. It's on every website. But I think it is like truly be authentic. If you're good at something and if you enjoy something, then that's going to come across and people are going to gravitate towards that. If you are uncomfortable in a situation or you're doing something that you're not particularly happy with, don't do it because it's not going to work. And I suppose whether that's in your sector, in your niche, when you're looking for jobs, when you're looking to do cold outreach and business development, like if it's something that you're uncomfortable doing, you're probably not that good at it. You're probably not doing as well as you could be. So try and figure out a workaround that works for you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think for me, I quite quickly identified, oh yeah, podcast as a form of cold outreach is really beneficial for me because I'm like 100% extrovert. Like there's maybe 5% of me that's introverted, but it's like I get so much energy from talking to people,
Yeah.
and I can kind of I talk to a tree. So that's actually that's a really easy thing for me to do and get comfortable doing it. Meanwhile, if someone isn't super comfortable, say trying to host a podcast, there is another way for you to do cold outreach. And
Yeah.
it's just about finding that
Yeah.
avenue.
And what you need to do now also, you need to tell me once this comes out that I need to share this with 5 of my clients that are recruiters. And then there's 5 people for you to chase up. And there you go. There's some really authentic business development.
Boom. Okay, let's do that. Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to end this week's episode of the Not a Scooby podcast. So, Kerry, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining me.
Thank you so much.